Call of Duty Warzone is the series' second foray into Battle Royales, and one that seems like it's going to be around for a long time. In this review, I'm going to take a look at the highs and lows of Warzone's first year, and asking the question, is it any good? When Warzone was revealed as a standalone free-to-play game, and something completely different to the Blackout that I knew and loved and had put hundreds of hours into, I was really excited. Even though it was going to be something different from Blackout, it was going to be something refreshing, it was going to be something different from all of the other Battle Royales. And from the very start, there was so much to love. The respawn system was absolutely genius. The brutal early Battle Royale mods in the Arma 2 engine and DayZ, and then PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and H1Z1, Fortnite, had all been particularly punishing when it came to death. If you were in a team and you died early on, you were then going to be treated to half an hour of watching your friends play until you were able to have another go. And you'd literally just be sitting there in spectator mode. There was no hope for anything that would be able to bring you back. Apex Legends in 2019 managed to change things up a little bit by having a slightly convoluted respawn system that involves grabbing an item from the corpse of your friends before a timer runs out, then taking that to a buyback station around the map. If your friends died in an awkward spot under heavy gunfire or to the zone, that was too bad, they were going to be waiting till the next one. So there's lots of situations where you'd still be left watching spectator mode, watching your friends, waiting for the game to end. One of Warzone's most genius features was introducing the gulag and buyable respawns. Now, when you die, even in solo, you've got one last high-tension fight to give you a chance to get back into the game. If you're playing in a team mode, your friends would be there like egging you on because they don't want to spend $4,000 to get you back. And you know that it's either you or your opponent is going to get back in. It sort of really raises the stakes and makes for an exciting moment that happens in like nearly every Warzone game, assuming you die as much as I do. Even if that doesn't work out, even if you get beaten in the gulag or you've already been in the gulag and then you die again, you can then be bought back for not that much money. Like 4,000 credits, $4,000 isn't a lot of money within Warzone. So it's fairly likely that your friends are going to have a chance to do that. But it means that they've got to get to a buy station, which is often a hotspot for combat, and then they send a flare up, letting everybody know that there's kind of a team with a player down, or a player coming in who's only going to have a pistol and 2 pieces of armor. So it gives you a fighting chance, but it also creates some kind of excitement. Another genius innovation is the contract system. In other Battle Royale games, you have an early looting phase that lasts for maybe the first 5 minutes or so of the game, and then you've got this strange sort of time where for the rest of the game, right up until the end, you're kind of just waiting for something to happen. You might be looking for enemies, so you might sort of wander towards hotspots or look for, hearing sounds and things like that. Or you could be trying to avoid enemies because, you want to win and you think that the best way of doing it is avoiding stuff, so you're kind of hiding for a long time. And then the final circle pushes you into confrontation. And this often gets dull. This kind of strange rhythm of the game means you've got lots of excitement at the very beginning, lots of excitement at the very end, and a dull period in the middle. But contracts mean you always have something to do. If you fancy fighting, get a bounty. You need to bring your team back, go for a supply run or most wanted. You want some information about where the zone's going to go, you can get a recon. If you need more loot, you can get a supply crate mission. The rewards are really varied, the tasks always put you in some kind of danger, but most importantly, they give you something interesting to do in that mid-game. And it doesn't really matter what style of player you are, you're always going to have something useful to do. And especially in team games, those contracts make it really interesting because there's so much you can do to kind of help your team and to get things that like work together as a team. Doing the most wanted and being able to get a whole team back is, an amazing feeling. These two features, the respawns and the contracts, go a long way to creating the one thing multiplayers need to hold my personal interest, and that's emergent narratives. And what I mean by that is narratives like stories that are different in every game, stories that appear that aren't hard-coded by the developers. It's not something they necessarily plan for you to experience in a certain way, but it's something that happens as a result of the systems in that game. And that's something I absolutely love. I'm not an amazing player, I'm not a pro player who's going to be going in just for the competition, just to beat people. And because of that, I need something else that's going to be entertaining. And a big part of that for me is just this idea that every time I go into a game, it's going to be unpredictable. Something interesting is going to happen. Something that I can talk about afterwards, something that's memorable about the games. That's what I really, really like. Most games of Warzone feel like a story. There's highs and lows, troughs and peaks. We might be really close to getting beaten in the early game, but then everyone wins their gulag and gets back. We might be taken out towards the end of the game, but a single player gets that most wanted and manages to sort of carry it on until it ends in the final circle and everyone flies back down right at the end and manages to get onto rooftops. We might have a game where we get through 5 or 6 bounties just hunting down and destroying teams, or we might be on the other hand of that and constantly being the targets of bounties, running for our lives and constantly having to look over our shoulders. All of these things create variation and drama, and that's the kind of thing that keeps me coming back for more. But of course, not everything about Warzone's been positive. Hacking's been a problem for a while now. Certainly in the last 6 months, it seems to have got much worse. And while we tend to see less hackers than some people report, I notice hackers in maybe 10% of our games, and that's far too many. You don't want one of those epic stories being cut short because someone could clearly see you through a wall, or used an aimbot to take an impossible shot that kills you. It's always disappointing when you think a game's going really well, and then you get killed and you realise you had no chance there. Like, there was no possibility because somebody wasn't playing fair. While I've got every belief that Raven and Activision are doing what they can to combat hacking, because obviously they don't want too intrusive software checking every part of your computer, and they don't want too many false positives, and they don't want to turn crossplay off between consoles and PC because it would kill the sort of matchmaking times for PC, it is an issue for this game, and like many others, at the moment it can ruin your game. On a more personal level, I'm also not a fan of the loadouts. While it does create a meta that can be theory crafted and discussed, and that's quite a fun thing in itself, working out what are the best guns to set up your loadout just the way you want with the attachments you want, I do feel like the loadouts kind of work against those emergent narratives I was talking about earlier. When you're using the same weapons in every single game, and much of the community are doing the same, think about like when the DMR meta was in force or the ground meta, fights can start to feel quite repetitive. Like, everybody's using the same guns, everybody's using the guns that they feel comfortable with, and it kind of makes everything feel the same all the time. Back in Blackout, the floor loot forced you to adapt, and it can shape a game based on the type of weapons you happen to find. If you find a really good SMG, maybe you're going to be rushing a lot more. If you find a really powerful sniper rifle, maybe you're going to have a bit of a slower sniping game that time. And it also extends the looting phase beyond the 5 minutes that it takes to get enough to call in a loadout drop. In Warzone, you loot very, very quickly, get enough money to get a loadout drop, and then you're basically set for the rest of the game. In Blackout, you can always be looking for something that's a little bit better. Maybe you get the guns you want, then you want to find the right attachments. Or maybe you're looking for the perks that you want. Or maybe you're looking for some equipment that you really like. You've always got a reason to keep on going. And it even forces you into more engagement, because if you kill someone, you're going to find all of the loot that they thought was the best loot that they found. So if you get into those fights, you get better and better loot. I don't absolutely hate loadouts, but I definitely prefer the kind of random element that loadouts eliminate, that they get rid of. Much of Warzone in general has felt like an experiment this year. The map's somewhat cobbled together out of the larger Spec Ops maps and multiplayer maps. The engine's clearly designed for smaller game modes found in Modern Warfare, and you can see that in like the vehicle physics, which are strangely limited and behave really weirdly, and the fact that you still can't climb most of the bloody rocks on the map. Things like that are really frustrating and don't seem to gel with a map that would be created, or an engine that was created specifically for a large-scale open, battle royale game. The merging with Cold War 2 was kind of messy, and we've now been left with this ridiculous weapon menu that you've got kind of duplicate versions of some weapons, 2 types of stats and attachments depending on whether it's a Cold War weapon or a Modern Warfare weapon, and then you get odd missing features, like the zombies camos from Cold War. I would like to give Activision the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to assume that now the kind of experimentation phase has at least shown that Warzone is incredibly successful, there's a market for it, it's something that's worth spending a lot of money on, and now they've got a better idea of what a Battle Royale game really needs, maybe they'll be working on a special branch of the engine dedicated to Warzone. We know they kind of adapt their engine for every game they bring out, whether it's a Black Ops game or a Modern Warfare game or Sledgehammer's games, but it'd be nice if they made a separate version of the engine that was explicitly designed for Warzone and had a system of menus and mechanics that weren't kind of taken from one of the other games, but instead were designed specifically for Warzone. And something that could be a kind of base that then they could seamlessly integrate new Call of Duties, they could put new features in, new weapons, new maps and things like that, and it would be consistent and just kind of make sense straight from now on. But as it stands, even without those things, Warzone is still easily up there as one of the top 3 Battle Royale games. Fortnite and Apex Legends each serve their own audiences and are very good at what they do, and they're different enough that they can all stand side by side, but Warzone is confidently among them. In the last year, I've put hundreds of hours into it, and every evening I can't wait to get online with my friends and see what happens. I'm not doing it to kind of grind out progress, that's not the reason I jump into games. I'm not doing it always to make content. I play quite a lot of games when I'm not streaming and not making videos. A lot of the time I'm just playing a game to win and to have fun, and that's a sign that the game's definitely doing something right. I'm playing it because I enjoy it. So if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, it helps me out a lot. Check me out on Twitch at twitch.tv/geekypastimes, where more often than not I'm playing Warzone, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.